She stood in the middle of the crowded corporate lobby, her voice echoing across the polished marble floor as every employee turned to watch. Without a hint of hesitation, she ripped the janitor's work badge from his shirt, pointed toward the glass doors, and announced that he was fired for embarrassing the company. The single father lowered his eyes, not because he was ashamed, but because he knew what would happen next. No one in that room, not the executives, not the security guards, not even the woman who had just humiliated him, had any idea that the quiet man holding a mop was the true owner of the billion-dollar company. What happened over the next few hours would change every life in that building forever. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances still matter in this world, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel. Every act of support helps our community continue sharing stories that remind us the greatest strength is found in compassion. Every weekday morning, before the first executives arrived and before the elevators filled with expensive suits, Everett Collins quietly unlocked the maintenance closet on the ground floor. Wearing a faded blue uniform and pushing the same old cleaning cart, he greeted every security guard with a warm smile and knew nearly every employee by name. Most people believed he had worked as a janitor for years after losing everything in a painful divorce. The truth was far more complicated. Everett had never divorced because he had never married. 5 years earlier, his wife, Laurel, had passed away after a long illness, leaving him alone to raise their 8-year-old daughter, Hazel. The little girl had become the center of his entire world. The company, known across America for its innovative medical technology, had been built by Everett and Laurel together in a tiny rented garage with borrowed money and impossible dreams. After Laurel's passing, Everett withdrew from the spotlight. He handed daily operations to a professional executive team while secretly spending months inside the company disguised as an ordinary janitor. His late wife had once told him that the true character of a business was revealed by how people treated those they believed had no power. Everett never forgot those words. Only 3 members of the board knew his secret. They protected his identity because Everett insisted that no employee should behave differently simply because the owner was watching. He wanted honesty instead of performance. Life outside work was simple. Every afternoon, he picked Hazel up from school in an aging pickup truck that still carried scratches from family camping trips years before. They laughed together over homemade sandwiches, completed homework at the kitchen table, and ended each day reading one chapter from Laurel's favorite adventure novel. Money had never mattered to Hazel. She simply loved having her father close. The company, however, had recently hired a new chief operations officer named Victoria Langford. She had built a reputation for cutting costs, demanding perfection, and removing anyone she considered weak. Investors admired her efficiency. Employees feared her footsteps in the hallway. She believed authority was measured by how many people obeyed without question. From her first week, Victoria viewed maintenance workers as invisible. She rarely greeted receptionists, ignored cafeteria staff, and complained whenever she noticed fingerprints on glass doors or dust beneath conference tables. She demanded impossible cleaning schedules while reducing maintenance budgets. Several longtime employees quietly warned her that respect often accomplished more than intimidation, but she dismissed their advice as sentimental nonsense. Everett observed everything without revealing himself. Whenever Victoria criticized someone unfairly, he wrote careful notes in a small leather notebook that never left his pocket. He wasn't searching for mistakes to punish. He was searching for opportunities to understand the culture developing beneath executive leadership. One sunny Tuesday morning, preparations were underway for an important investor presentation. Employees rushed through hallways carrying laptops, presentation boards, and coffee cups. During the commotion, a nervous intern accidentally dropped an entire tray of coffee outside the executive conference room. Brown liquid spread across the marble floor within seconds. Without hesitation, Everett hurried over with his mop to help. The intern's hands shook with embarrassment, expecting harsh criticism. Everett simply smiled and quietly assured him that accidents happen to everyone. Before the spill could be cleaned, Victoria stepped out of the conference room. She immediately noticed the wet floor. Without asking what had happened, she assumed Everett had created the mess through carelessness. Her voice rose so loudly that conversations throughout the lobby stopped. She accused him of incompetence, laziness, and damaging the company's professional image. Employees stood frozen while visitors awkwardly looked away. Everett remained calm, attempting to explain that he had only arrived to help the frightened intern. Victoria refused to listen. Believing public humiliation would demonstrate strong leadership, she grabbed Everett's employee badge, tore it from his shirt, and announced before dozens of witnesses that he was terminated immediately. She ordered security to escort him outside and warned everyone that poor performance would never be tolerated under her leadership. The young intern tried desperately to admit responsibility, but fear stole his voice. Everett quietly picked up his cleaning gloves, thanked the security guards for always treating him kindly, and walked toward the exit without a single complaint. Many employees lowered their heads in shame. Several wanted to defend him. None found the courage. Outside the building, Everett sat peacefully on a nearby bench beneath bright afternoon sunshine. He opened his lunchbox, smiled at the small drawing Hazel had packed beside his sandwich, and made a brief phone call to the chairman of the board. Within 30 minutes, every director had arrived. An emergency board meeting was announced. Victoria entered confidently, expecting praise for enforcing discipline before investors. Instead, she found every board member standing silently. The chairman calmly invited Everett into the room. He no longer wore the janitor's uniform. Instead, he had changed into a tailored navy suit kept in a private office that almost no one knew existed. Confusion filled the room. Victoria stared in disbelief. The chairman finally broke the silence by introducing Everett Collins as the founder, majority shareholder, and sole owner of the corporation. The room became perfectly still. Several executives nearly dropped their tablets. Victoria's confident expression disappeared. For the first time in years, she realized she had judged a person's worth entirely by a uniform. Everett spoke softly rather than angrily. He explained that he had spent months working alongside cleaners, receptionists, cafeteria employees, and security guards because those individuals represented the heart of the company. Every innovation, every award, and every financial success depended upon people who often received the least recognition. He admitted that mistakes happened every day, but character was revealed by how leaders responded to those mistakes. He then surprised everyone by showing security recordings. The footage clearly revealed the intern spilling the coffee before Everett ever arrived. More importantly, dozens of recordings collected over several months revealed executives ignoring struggling employees, supervisors taking credit for junior staff, and Victoria repeatedly humiliating workers in public. No one spoke. Several directors quietly wiped tears from their eyes after watching employees cry alone in hallways following harsh encounters. Everett wasn't interested in revenge. He explained that fear could increase productivity for a short season but destroyed loyalty forever. The company had once been founded upon kindness because Laurel believed healing people through medical technology meant little if employees themselves felt broken. Victoria finally stood. For the first time in her career, she admitted she had spent years believing compassion was weakness. Growing up with parents who demanded perfection, she had learned that mistakes were punished instead of corrected. She had unknowingly repeated the same pattern everywhere she worked. Her apology wasn't polished. It wasn't rehearsed. It was painfully honest. She apologized first to Everett. Then she requested permission to apologize personally to every employee she had hurt. The board waited for Everett's decision. Many assumed he would dismiss her immediately. Instead, he surprised everyone again. He explained that accountability mattered, but so did redemption. Victoria would step down from her executive position temporarily, complete leadership coaching, volunteer alongside maintenance teams, cafeteria workers, and reception staff for several months, and earn back trust through actions rather than titles. Some directors questioned whether she deserved another opportunity. Everett answered with the lesson Laurel had taught him years before. People cannot grow if no one believes growth is possible. Over the following months, remarkable changes slowly transformed the company. Victoria spent mornings polishing floors beside custodians. She learned every cleaner's name. She served lunches in the cafeteria. She carried heavy supply boxes for warehouse employees. She listened instead of commanding. At first, workers assumed the change was temporary. Weeks became months. The kindness remained. The frightened intern who had caused the original accident was invited into Everett's office one afternoon. Expecting punishment, he instead received encouragement. Everett praised him for eventually admitting the truth and reminded him that courage sometimes arrives later than we wish, but it still matters. The intern later became one of the company's most respected project managers because he never forgot that mercy had changed his future. Hazel often visited the office after school. Employees adored her cheerful spirit. She carried homemade cookies from her grandmother's recipe and delivered them to every department without caring whether someone wore an expensive suit or a maintenance uniform. Watching his daughter laugh with receptionists, engineers, executives, and janitors together reminded Everett why he had built the company in the first place. One bright afternoon exactly 1 year after the incident, the corporation celebrated its anniversary. Instead of honoring executives first, Everett invited every maintenance worker onto the main stage. Thousands of employees stood and applauded for several uninterrupted minutes. Many custodians cried openly because it was the first time anyone had publicly recognized their contribution. Victoria, now restored to leadership after proving herself through genuine humility, stood among the audience applauding louder than anyone else. She no longer measured success by fear. She measured it by trust. Before ending the celebration, Everett looked across the enormous room filled with people from every department. He reminded everyone that titles fade, wealth changes hands, and appearances often deceive. Character is revealed by how we treat people who cannot offer us anything in return. Respect should never depend upon someone's salary, clothing, or position. Every person carries a story we cannot see, and one moment of kindness may become the turning point that changes an entire life. Before this story comes to its close, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment telling us what lesson touched your heart the most, or share a time when someone treated you with unexpected kindness that changed your life. As the afternoon sunlight streamed through the company's glass windows, Everett walked out of the building beside Hazel, holding her small hand just as he always had. Employees waved goodbye with genuine smiles instead of fearful silence. The polished floors reflected more than sunlight that day. They reflected a workplace rebuilt on dignity, compassion, and hope. Everett knew his greatest achievement had never been creating a billion-dollar company. It had been proving that real leadership begins with humility and that the strongest people are those who choose forgiveness when they have every reason to seek revenge. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember, every act of kindness you show today may become the miracle someone else has been praying for.